Alright, so I thought I would share with you guys exactly what I'm going to be doing for Zhao. I am hoping I can get him. I've gathered up a decent amount of Primo Gems. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty close to the pity, so I should be able to get him at least C0. I'm hoping I can get him C1 by the end, but again, his banner is actually shorter than what they would usually be. They're usually 3 weeks. This time it's only 2 weeks. And same thing with the Keqing one. That one is also only 2 weeks. But yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the team, say why I'm using each character, and then we're gonna go over the weapons and artifacts. But first, I think this is one that pretty much everyone knew was coming. Of course, Bennett, we need the healing, plus it's Pyro. Like, this man is in every single team that you can possibly imagine. So yeah, that one, there's not too much to talk about. I'm pretty sure everyone expected that. Now, Xingqiu is literally like perfect, actually perfect for Zhao. And that's because over here, if you go to his talents, is because if you go to this Guhao sword rain cutter, this one of course just applies damage, so people aren't, this one is basically just extra damage if you want it, because I mean you can apply Hydro all the time, but that's not the main one. This one right here, the Fatal Rain screen, once you have these swords around you, you take less damage, and when they shatter, it heals you. So this is perfect for Zhao because he's, as soon as he pops his burst, you start taking damage over time when you're using Zhao. So being able to take less damage and healing whenever they shatter, that's a huge plus for him. That pretty much makes it to where Zhao basically doesn't take damage, because the maximum amount of additional damage reduction that can be gained this way is 24%. So that's a decent amount. That's a lot. But yeah, 20% of Xingqiu's Hydro damage bonus will be converted to additional damage reduction for the Rain Swords. So you can make this build pretty crazy. Right now I don't have anything like insanely crazy about this, but main thing that I've been focusing on is that, of course, his healing goes off of Xingqiu's max HP, so you want to get that as high as possible. So that's why right now I've pretty much just got on whatever that can get my health up, so that he's only at 9,000, but that's mainly because I was switching around different stuff. If we really needed to get his health up, I have plenty of these. I'm going to switch it around 100%, but main thing is healing effectiveness here. If you want to use these right here, the Maiden's Distant Love is definitely a decent one, because you can get the character healing effectiveness plus 15%. But right now I have pretty much anything on it that can get me a decent amount of health. But as you can see, I've got some that has on random characters. I haven't really set them up yet, but yeah, that's the main one you want to focus on, is health. But this guy is perfect for Zhao. Like, if you have him 100%, you need to be using him with Zhao. I only have the first constellation, but that doesn't really mean much. If you have one, that's a huge plus, because it does increase maximum number of rain swords by 1. So it does help a little bit with the healing and with just supplying Hydro all the time. And then the talents, I haven't upgraded any of those, because the main thing that I want, if I do upgrade, it will be this one, because I want to get that damage reduction ratio up as much as I can. So I probably will be upgrading that soon. His level 71 is, I guess this one is more helpful if you're running him as a DPS. If you want that extra damage just from his burst, then that's cool. But for me, I'm not really using his burst for damage. But yeah, next one is for sure Sucrose. Now, if you have Venti, 100% use Venti. That's obviously going to be the better one. But Sucrose is a little small. Well, you could say Sucrose is better. You could say Sucrose is better. And that's only mainly because of the weapon that she will be using, which is the Throwing Tails of Dragon Slayers, which is when switching characters, the new character taking the field has their attack increased by 48% for 10 seconds. So this, along with his Zhao's burst, is pretty insane. It's a pretty insane 3-star weapon. As you can see, I only have at 20. You don't really need to have it up because you only want it for the extra damage. You're not really attacking anyone with this. For artifacts, again, I pretty much just have recharge rate and elemental mastery as much as I can. And I didn't even really pay attention to the main stats on this. But a lot of them give defense. But the main thing I was focusing on was getting these 2 set bonuses, which was energy recharge plus 20% and increase the elemental mastery by 80, because her burst takes a while if you don't have enough energy recharge. It takes a decent amount of time. Her constellations, I have the first 2. She's another one where her constellations aren't insanely important, but this one mainly just helps with having it gains additional charge. It is easier to get the particles, which then gives you your burst more often, so this does help a little bit. But after that, it's like they're extra, but they're not needed. I've only upgraded these up to 2 because, I mean, you don't really need it. If you are going to upgrade anything, make sure you get the Icemer 75 Type 2, the Forbidden Creation one. That's the main one that's going to be used. And this, I don't really need this, so I haven't really putting that one up either. But yeah, main thing that for her is the weapon, because we want that extra damage. I could level her up, but she's at 13,000 health. I don't really need her to have a whole lot of attack. The elemental mastery is okay, but the main thing I want is energy recharge. Now I wanted to talk about one more thing with Xingqiu, because a lot of people are trying to figure out which weapon to use. That's not the one I usually use. Sacrificial is usually the one I use, because after damaging an opponent with elemental skill, the skill has a 40% chance to end its own cooldown, which is super helpful with Xingqiu because his skill does take a decent amount of time to activate again. So if you can do it straight after and just have it every single time, that is extremely helpful. And this does help with energy recharge 39.7%. So this is a great sword for Xingqiu if you're running him as a support. If you're running him as something else, then maybe not this one. Maybe you would run something else like Festering Desire or something like that if you were running him as a DPS. And then over here, this is the one I'm using for Bennett. If you were curious, again, energy recharge rate using elemental burst grants a 24% increase in attack and movement speed, because he is kind of like my sub DPS right now, kinda. So him, of course, I'm running max HP because he's there for healing, and his healing effectiveness goes off of his max HP like Xingqiu does. But that's going to be the team that I'm using. Now we're going to go over the artifacts and the weapons I'm going to be using for Xiao specifically. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go on to Xingling. Just use her as an example, because right now I'm working on upgrading this Skyward Spine. If you don't have that, Dragon's Bane is not bad at all. Favonius Lance is okay, but the main one, if you can get the one from the Battle Pass, that one's pretty good as well. But the main one I'm going to be using is Skyward Spine because it's a 5-star. I would prefer something other than the energy recharge rate, but I mean, it's a 5-star and it increases crit rate by 8% and increases normal attack speed by 12%. Additionally, normal and charged attacks hits on opponents have a 50% chance to trigger a vacuum blade that deals 40% of attack as damage in a small area of effect. Now I'm going to show you the difference in speed. If I put on this one and then switch over to Xingling right here, see the attack seems kind of normal. That's what it should look like. But if we go ahead and go into here, change your weapon to Skyward Spine, you can see the difference a little bit. But if you're able to like speed it up and do more damage in a smaller amount of time, why would you not? But yeah, that's the main reason I'm using that weapon. It's the only 5-star I have, and it's pretty good for Xiao. But yeah, right now the artifacts that I would be using on him is, sadly, I've been farming for these. I've gotten a decent amount of them, and yeah, it's not going great. So I'm probably going to end up having to use whatever I possibly can put on. It refuses to give me a flower, so that one is just not going to have any. This one, I wasn't even able to get a 5-star version of this one. But I'm going to be doing it a lot more once 1.3 comes out and resin isn't really a problem anymore. But for now, I'm just going to be trying to get the animal damage bonus plus 15%. Because right now, I can't really focus on the main stats or the substats because I don't have anything else. But if this isn't enough, then I'll probably just end up running my normal set, which will probably just be full gladiators, because when you don't have anything else, that's a good one to fall back on, because it just adds attack and it works for polearm. So if it does, I do have a set for this, so 100% I'll be end up using that. But if I can, I would like to run 2-piece animal damage bonus and then 2-piece gladiators. I might switch it around and go for, I might get a noblesse. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. I probably want the all-around attack bonus, so that I will most likely be running 2-piece Viridescent and then 2-piece gladiators. Because gladiators, I already have a decent amount of those. I just need to upgrade some of them. But these, geez, they don't want to give me anything good at all. But yeah, we're gonna be, hopefully we get lucky. Hopefully his talents are really good, because I mean, he looks cool. That's the main reason I'm getting him, because he's probably the coolest looking character in the game right now. But yeah, 100%. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for Zhao. But that's going to be my team, weapons, and artifacts I'm going to be using. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.